Welcome to the SharkPreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Green. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Green is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Do you want to become insanely successful? Do you want to be the go-to guru in your industry? Do you want to be talked about for all the right reasons? For over 40 years, Kevin Harrington has helped people just like you become significant influencers. Now he's broken the process down in the Key Person of Influence roadmap, and it's yours for free. Just text KPI to him at 727-888-2100. Text KPI to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free step-by-step guide. Text KPI to 727-888-2100 to get the recognition you deserve and experience the success as the go-to voice everyone listens to in your industry today. Welcome to the SharkPreneur podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Green. Today I have the good fortune of interviewing Matthew Ferry. For the last 26 years, Matthew has been coaching thousands of top performers to achieve enlightened prosperity. His books, audios, and seminars use his proven methodology, the Rapid Enlightenment Process, a guaranteed system to achieve profound states of happiness and success in life. Matthew, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on the show. I'm excited about inspiring our viewer and our listener.
Awesome. Let's do it. Let's dive right in. Let's go back in time a little bit first. How did you get started?
I actually began in the real estate sales training industry back in the day. My father is one of the top real estate sales trainers in the world. And through that process of developing coaching programs and systems and procedures for real estate agents to be more effective, I began to notice that if their mindset wasn't effectively, pointing in the right direction, they would undermine themselves. And no matter what I taught them, they wouldn't be able to implement the tools and the techniques. And so that led ultimately to shifting my business to be 100% focused on how do you get the mind in the best possible place, which is then ultimately led to how do you get the mind out of the way completely and go into a quiet mind state.
Okay, so I agree with that 100%. One of my favorite quotes is, "Who you are affects how well what you do works." And every leap in our business hasn't been, even though we're a marketing firm, hasn't been because I learned a new whiz-bang Facebook ad technique or something. It's been because I made a leap in my headspace and the business grew with it. So let's dive into that. What are some of the biggest mistakes you're finding that those business owners that are coming to you are experiencing, and how is your process helping them with that?
Really great question. I think that one of the biggest mistakes that people make is that they listen to their mind as if that it is reality or the truth. And I call all of that mind chatter the drunk monkey in your head. And the drunk monkey is actually a survival system. And business owners oftentimes are not aware of my entrepreneur clients or my executive clients are not aware of that they're in a thriving pursuit. They're trying to create, they're trying to generate or to create something new or expand. And if you're using a survivalist mindset in that process, it actually diminishes your creativity, your resources, your personal power, your inspiration. And so that biggest mistake is thinking that your mind is your friend. Your mind is not your friend. Your mind is a mechanism, and its job is to essentially keep you alive in a situation that's not actually threatening.
Okay, so your mind is not your friend. I love that. All right, so I think another quote I've heard in that department is, "It's a wonderful servant, but a horrible master." So as business owners, I think we're paranoid by nature, where our wheels are always spinning. It's hard to turn off. So when you say quiet the mind, a lot of us have very noisy minds. So I don't want you to give away your secret sauce, but obviously there are many folks who purport to coach or teach business owners how to get a hold of their mind. Why is your process so different?
Well, my process was not different in the beginning. And I was one of those coaches who said, I'm going to help you to get control of your mind. And I was actually really successful at helping people to get control of their mind. And then out of left field, here comes the drunk monkey swinging out of the jungle and trash talking you and creating doubt and uncertainty and fear and all of that. And I will say, as a leader, an executive, an entrepreneur, that's bad news, because when your mind is freaking out and you're stressed, you make bad decisions. You don't think clearly. You're not easy to be around. Your creativity is diminished. Your energy is zapped. And for me, I had been on this journey in the background of going into these quiet mind states, and my clients started to say, well, what is that? What's that thing that you're doing? So I began to teach them some of the systems and processes that I was following to be in complete peace in the middle of chaos. You and I right now are talking at a time when yesterday we had the biggest drop on the Dow Jones in history. And if I look over on my screen here, and I reached out to a bunch of my clients and said, how's the mindset? What's happening? And some of the responses are, I'm on fire. The best day ever. I've been training for this. The young people are all freaking out, and I'm keeping everybody calm. These are not responses that you would think you would get.
No,
from
I'm
people
on fire
who are
would be
losing.
the opposite. Would be, oh my God, the world's gonna end.
Right. The characterization of a person on Wall Street, which is where a lot of my clients are, the characterization is that person is flipping out. And the truth is, there were a lot of people flipping out, but my clients were rooted in a concept that all is well. And that's really the enlightened part. All is well. And when you're in this concept of all is well, when you're relating to the world in that way, then it's much easier to do well, which is prosperity. So enlightened prosperity, knowing that all is well and then doing well.
So where do you, if you've got a business owner or a client who's in that overwhelmed, paranoid, stressed out state, what's the first step for them to take to start getting back in the driver's seat of what's going on in their head?
So important. I do have some business owners there right now. I've got a couple who they own 5 different businesses, and one of the businesses is failing. And that business is taking all their time and going nowhere. And the other businesses are taking hardly any of their time, and they are incredibly prosperous. And they were having troubles. They were constantly going into overwhelm and stress and anxiety, and they were getting mad at the people in that business. And then it was diminishing how they were operating in their businesses that were profitable. And the process that I took them through to start is something really, really simple. I talk about it in my book, Quiet Mind, Epic Life. And that is, you actually have to force the drunk monkey in your head to deal with the worst case scenario. So I took them through the process of going all the way to the worst possible thing that could happen. And I mean, we went to the nasty, crazy things that are in our head. You know, the stuff when you're laying in bed and you're trying to sleep at night and your mind is keeping you up, and it's just pegging you and beating you up with all this nasty stuff. I had them say all of that stuff out loud. And then we got all the way to the worst case. And I said, all right, if that happens, what's the plan? And they were like, what? We can't, that can't be no. And I was like, no, if that happens, what's the plan? Like, what is the plan if there's Armageddon? And once they came up with their plan, they were like, oh, actually, I would be okay if we did that. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I could figure that out. And instantly, the survival part of their mind was disengaged. What was happening without them even knowing it, Seth, is that these negative occurrences that were happening in their business, the unprofitability, was triggering a survival response in them: overwhelm, anger, upset, frustration. Then that survival response was diminishing their creativity, diminishing their power, diminishing their joy, their energy, their resourcefulness. Once I got them to be completely at peace with the worst case, it opened them up, and suddenly their creativity and their joy was back. And that was last week. This week they've already made a set of decisions that are going to right the ship. And they weren't decisions that were easy to make. They weren't positive decisions by any means, but they are decisions that will right the ship. And that is so important sometimes for us as entrepreneurs or business owners.
I love that. So it's a contrarian approach, because there's so many hundreds of thousands probably of books on Amazon about, okay, something's going wrong. Let's think positively. It's going to be okay. And it's really hard to talk your drunk monkey brain into that state. I love that you went the opposite way and said, okay, fine, drunk monkey, you're right. It's worse than you think. Let's deal with that. And then all of a sudden, everything else seems better by comparison. That's brilliant.
I learned that actually from my father, and my father's mentor was a man named Earl Nightingale.
Yep.
And so I'm a third generation personal development guy here. And Earl Nightingale, my father would go to him and say, Earl, what is it going to take for me to be successful? And Earl, I don't know if you've ever heard Earl Nightingale before, but his voice is incredibly low.
Yes, I have an original recording, a vinyl record of The Strangest Secret.
Right on my wall, right over there, is hanging up my Strangest Secret record. So for all of you youngsters out there, check it out. It's good stuff. So Earl says to my father, Mike, if you want to be successful, just look at what everybody else does and do the exact opposite.
Yep.
And ultimately, I coined that idea, the 180-degree theory. And it really is just about being a contrarian. And one of the subtitle of my book, Quiet Mind, Epic Life, is Escape the Status Quo and experience enlightened prosperity now. And what I've found over the years is, because I'm accountable for results, I can't rely on the myths of personal development. And personal development turns out to be filled with myths, Seth, not provable. Nobody actually put them to the test to see if they would work. And I've coached thousands and thousands of people since 1993. And I have put the myths to the test, and most of them don't work. It's nice to say, be positive. But you look in the mirror and you say positive things to yourself, and the drunk monkey basically says, you're full of crap, you're ugly, you're stupid, and I don't care what you say.
You have a webcam in my head, sir. All right. So you also, I want to talk about a couple other things before, because your time is incredibly valuable. What is muscle testing school? Because muscle testing, the way I had previously understood it, comes from another branch of, let's say, like chiropractic and non-traditional medicine. So talk us a little bit through what muscle testing school is, and then we'll go into some of the other amazing things you're doing.
Well, that is so first of all, I think you might be the first interview that I've been on where someone has actually asked me about muscle testing, and I'm so grateful.
I think I know what it is, because I have numerous clients who do it, at least what I think it is. So let's have you talk, and we'll see if we're on the same page.
Well, my mentor was a man named Dr. David Hawkins, and he wrote a book called Power versus Force.
Yep, love that book. Okay, so we're talking about the same thing.
I had invited, or my father and I had invited Wayne Dyer to come and speak to our mastermind group. And when he did, this was, I think, in 1999, he basically said to us, you have to read this book. And I was like, ugh. Yeah, I'm not a big book reader. I like to listen. And he didn't have an audiobook back then, but I decided I'll read it. So I read this book, Power versus Force, and for me, it was the most compelling book I'd ever read in my entire life. And I literally started over immediately. I ended and started at the beginning again. And that began my fascination with muscle testing. What Dr. Hawkins did was he did a 20-year study on the calibrated levels of consciousness. He used muscle testing, essentially a strength or weak response of the muscle, to distinguish levels of consciousness. And it's way too big of a story to tell you on how all that happens. But for me, I became a student, and I began working the methodology. And ultimately, as my mind started to go quieter and quieter and quieter, I had a realization. And the realization was that it is a best practice to do things that are strengthening to you. And it is a best practice to avoid things that are weakening to you. And the place that I do almost all of my work is in the realm of context or personal experience. And it's not a realm of provable. You can't prove your beliefs, for example. And yet you have all these beliefs that if we put them to a muscle test, the belief itself will weaken your body. You'll say your belief, we'll have you put your arm out, and when we press on your arm, it goes weak no matter what you do, no matter how much you believe in it. And that fascinated me, and I began to use it as one of my additional tools in my process to discern what is a strengthening way to think about this. And it turns out that there are many, many universal strengthening ideas. And in my book, in chapter 9, I go through 35 universally strengthening ideas. And that when you begin to think them, you are strengthened and empowered. And the crazy thing is, when you are strong and you're in an empowered state, you're not in a survival state. And therefore, there's no reason for the survival mind to be activated. Your mind goes quiet.
That is absolutely beautiful. I've seen it used in chiropractic and in other types of coaching, but never thought to do it the way you're doing it on the level that you're doing it. That's absolutely beautiful. Selfish side note, are you familiar with something called Neuro Emotional Technique, NET?
I am, yes, I am.
Okay. Because I've done that as well and had life-changing results. So right in the same alley. I know your time's incredibly valuable, and we're running out of time. I'd like you to address, talk a little bit about the podcast, the magazine, and the book real quick, if you would.
Sure, no problem. I would love for people who are intrigued by the idea of living with a quiet mind and having an epic life to go check out my book, Quiet Mind, Epic Life. My wife is she owned a graphic design firm for 16 years. And when we came together, she really upped my graphic world, and she started to create a magazine that we put out every 4 months. And so if you go to my website, MatthewFerry.com, we have Quiet Mind Magazine. We're happy to have you be a part of that with us as our guest. And then we also have an app that people can use. I've created a 23-day process, the 23 daily practices, and my app delivers those 23 days to you really, really simply. So if you go to MatthewFerry.com, you can download my app, and I'm happy to take you through my process of getting your mind to go quiet.
Awesome. That is absolutely incredible. For our folks who are listening or watching and want to learn more, is MatthewFerry.com. Sorry, that's the best place to send them.
MatthewPerry.com will send you to a
very different site.
Yes. But I certainly get called Matthew Perry on a regular basis. No, it's Matthew Ferry, like the boat, Ferry. Yeah, that's the best place. That's where you can keep up to date on me. I have a YouTube channel, and I have a podcast that I update periodically, but I think that my website and my email list is probably the best place to keep track of me.
Awesome. All right. We greatly appreciate your time. Seth Green for SharkPreneur here with Matthew Ferry of MatthewFerry.com. Quiet Mind, Epic Life. Matthew, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level, but need capital to get it done? Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.